Well, thank you very much indeed, John Boyer, back there in Broadcasting House. We continue our unrivaled coverage of the ongoing Connected Summit 2023 here at Diani, Kwale County. Of course, today, the official opening of the meeting with various speakers expressing and, of course, cementing the reason why we need to invest more in developing and, of course, expanding our ICT so that we ensure that even the underserved communities we close the matched of the digital divide. Well, this evening on the set, we have the Principal Secretary in the State Department of Broadcasting and Telecommunications. This is none other than Professor Waswa, Professor Edward Waswa Kisiang'ani. We're going to discuss the role of the media in driving the ICT agenda and, of course, what the State Department for Broadcasting and Communications has to drive or to deepen ICT services in the country. Thank you very much indeed, Prof, for joining us this evening. Of course, you've been part of these conversations around here, and you have listened to various speakers, and of course, you have also been part of this conversation trying to deepen and drive ICT services in this country. What is the role of your ministry in doing this?
Thank you very much, Brian. That's true. I've been part of this. The role of the ministry is to make sure that it implements the government agenda in using ICT to improve the quality of life of our people. The president has been at the forefront on this, and even during his campaign, he made sure that the ICT docket becomes a separate docket from others, and it's an independent docket and part of the pillars of the Kenya Kwanza manifesto. And the belief of the head of state and, of course, the Kenya Kwanza leadership is that we can use technology to improve our business enterprises, to empower people financially, and to also make sure that our people access valuable information that can make them grow in their businesses and also in the acquisition of knowledge. Mm-hmm. So that is what the ministry is doing to support the government agenda to improve, to make sure that the citizens use the digital platforms to improve on their businesses, to enhance their production, and to improve on the quality of life they are living. Mm-hmm. So it is an important thing, and the ministry is a part and parcel of this arrangement. So it is a supportive role that we are playing to make sure that the government agenda succeeds.
Mm-hmm. Yes. When you look at the Universal Service Fund, which was created back in 2009, to help in financing projects and services in the underserved but unprofitable communities in this country or areas. How do we tap into these resources under the UFS to expand the services in the digital marginalized communities in Kenya?
We can do it many ways, O'Brien. If you look at the Universal Service Fund, which is actually domiciled at the Communication Authority of Kenya, with an independent board operating it, and the money kept at the Treasury, it does a lot of things. It has already done a couple of things which are useful, and it can do more. One of the things that we can do right now, we want to ensure that by June we have at least laid 5,000 kilometers of fiber. It is helping to lay fiber, and one of the big players in laying fiber through the Universal Service Fund is going to be the CA. So actually it does that, but it also improves connectivity in places like remote places that didn't have frequencies. It has helped to build the towers to make sure that people who couldn't probably access information through their mobile phones can get that. And it also helps to support other entities like the KBC and other government entities to make sure that even the frequencies for radio and the frequencies for the signals for radio, the signals for television are easily, mapped out so that they can access information. So it does quite a lot of things, and it supports a lot of communities in Isiolo, communities in Pokot, which indeed were not able to access certain services because there is no connectivity. So I think we can do more, but what the Universal Service Fund is doing is great. It also supports capacity building within the ministries, our ministry, to make sure officers are in good state to do certain things. So that it can't be overstated, in fact, that the Universal Service Fund has been very useful in helping the marginalized players. You can see the connectivity levels within our country is growing. We were probably hardly 20% 10 years ago. We are now going almost 70%, 80% in terms of connectivity. And the Universal Service Fund has been very, very useful in that regard. So it can still be used to do more products, because I don't think we have reached many places in our country. There are other places which really need to be accessed. Certain parts in Turkana, certain parts in Mandera, even at the coast here, there are certain places in Kwale which probably have not been reached. And the Universal Service Fund is providing money that lays infrastructure for connectivity, and once you are connected, financial inclusivity becomes very easy for our citizens. So, and even in schools where we need proper connectivity, it's helping a lot. Yes.
And I like the fact that you are bringing in the concept of infrastructure deployment, which is very expensive. It's quite an expensive undertaking.
Yes.
And it is true what you are saying. I mean, when you look at mobile telephony, we are almost 120% coverage.
Yes.
But when you look at the internet, this is where we are not doing so well compared to our peers like South Africa, Egypt, and Morocco, and so many other countries. We are talking about 43%.
Yes.
The plan is to move this to about 70% by the year 2025.
Yes.
What kind of resources are needed for us to get to this level?
The kind of resources that are needed are partnership. That is the main resource. Partnership between government and the private sector. We badly need that partnership, and you can see the president has been leading the way. You remember in the last Jamhuri, no head of state was invited to Kenya. Instead, the president invited tech companies to come and showcase what they really want to do. That partnership with Amazon, partnership with Google, and many other tech companies in the United States and Europe is enough to put resources. And what kind of resources do we want? We now want resources to improve signals in very many parts of the country, but we also want resources to lay fiber, because once you lay fiber, you get people connected to the information superhighway. Through this information superhighway, if they are doing business, they can still order materials for their business from other countries abroad, and then they can also sell their products abroad by marketing through the internet applications. So those are the resources we want. The main resource is to have a partnership. Government cannot have enough money to lay this, and it is not in the interest of government to prevent other players from playing a role in this sector. So our main agenda is to work with people who have resources, so that they give a breathing space to government, and these resources can help lay the fiber that will lead to internet connectivity across the country. And if we can reach 90 in a few years' time, 90% internet connection, a lot of our people will do their business, conduct their business in their bedrooms, in the compounds of the houses within their compounds, and then make sure that they access as many financial resources as they can. They can order, they can sell their products, make money while in the house. I think that would be very good. So we want to connect many households, not just in the urban areas, but in the villages, those remote places, by having this fiber laid across. And then the hotspots put in marketplaces, which can also enhance business transactions. Yes.
And it is true that the government has deployed so much resources, in ensuring that, Kenya becomes a digitized and a digitalized economy. From the digital literacy program targeting school goers to the Wi-Fi, to the public Wi-Fi hotspots that the government is rolling out, to Ajira programs, targeting young people. These are massive resources being deployed. But our communities using these resources for their intended purposes? And I'm asking this because I saw a report on the free public Wi-Fi whereby it was indicating that more than 80% of users of these services, they are using them to download movies, to watch football, soap operas, and music, as opposed to engaging in e-commerce.
I think the whole thing is we shouldn't emphasize that, because I don't think that anybody has data which shows that much of that facility is being used to just download movies. In any case, some of the movies, what you should worry about is if the movies are morally unacceptable. But some of the movies are good for our kids because they look at how others act. And since we have a whole state department for sports, the Ministry of Sports, and the arts, they can get role models. What is critical, and O'Brien, I'll tell you this, because a few weeks ago I was in Paris attending the UNESCO conference on internet trust. The challenge that Kenya faces on internet trust is just a challenge other countries are facing. How do we use internet profitably? It is a challenge across the world. For us in Kenya, we need to set standards in this field. We need to involve everybody. When you have your children in the house, they have finished school, they probably are waiting to go to college, or they have finished college and they are looking around for business opportunities. It is up to the parents to guide their children to look for the right things on the internet. If you go to a road and you want to be knocked by a car, you can be knocked by a car. But if you tell children, don't use the road, don't ride a bicycle on the road when the vehicles are coming, also using the same road, make sure you are safe, they will be safe. So we need, as a society, as national leadership, to tell our children, to guide the youth that this internet is not there to sell pornography. This internet is not there to bring in movies that attack our moral standards, but this internet is there to empower them with good information that can also help them make a living out of that superhighway. It's a superhighway for all of us. So it's not the responsibility of the government to keep pushing what the kids are doing. Once we get the infrastructure there, it's like you having a television in the house. You must also tell the kids that every time it's not watching television, and you must also tell the kids not to watch certain programs. You control that so they can do assignments. So it's our responsibility as a society, as everybody in the church, everybody who is involved in nurturing our youth, to tell them to responsibly use the internet. And even the adults like ourselves, we must also show by example that we can use the internet responsibly by doing research, looking for business opportunities, rather than downloading movies that are dangerous. But if the movies are also good movies that can show how other kids across the world, other people across the world are using their talent, then that should be encouraged. So internet trust is a big challenge, and we have to isolate the right things to be done on the internet, and it's the responsibility of the entire society.
Bonapiers, before I let you go, because I know you also have other commitments, what is your position on media freedom and freedom of expression, and how do we regulate these without stifling growth?
I think I'm happy you have asked that question. Just a few days ago, there were rumors by some of you in the media that the government was going to close media houses. First, the first agenda of media freedom is not to peddle rumors. Don't use your space to peddle rumors. I am in the office that has the government spokesperson. Nobody called me to clarify whether or not the government was going to close down media house. Nobody called our minister to do the same. So I don't know where you look for information, and you know the office which you should call. So these rumors, what happened a few days ago, maybe 2 days ago, is an an example of how people irresponsibly use their freedom, and you peddle rumors, and before people realize, just like you did the other time, a few of your colleagues in media peddled the same lies about the former minister from Interior.
Of course, not KBC.
It was not KBC, but that is the danger. But my thinking is that surely we can still be responsible in reporting. The Constitution, which provides for media freedom, if you read the section from 34 to 38, including the freedom of assembly, this Constitution does not say you enjoy these freedoms while violating the freedoms of others. So the Constitution has certain framework where you can enjoy your freedom. It doesn't tell you to say lies. It doesn't say you take positions to abuse particular people. That's not the freedom we are looking for. The freedom we are looking for is you exercise it responsibly, so that in your movement, in your enjoyment of that freedom, you don't still hurt others. How many claims have come up from the media about our government? The media in the last election attacked our president. They said bad things about our president. They have continued with that position. What the government is asking them to do is that the president has been elected. He is the leader of this country and a responsible leader too. And the Constitution gives him that mandate up to 2027, when all leaders will go back to seek a mandate. So my appeal to the media is that government will protect media freedom, but it must be exercised responsibly, so that you don't peddle lies that come to be sensationalized to the point that they even threaten the existence of other people. And before you realize, people are burning houses on falsehood.
So it behoves the media to enjoy that freedom with responsibility.
With the responsibility, and the government has no intention of gacking freedom. You are a free place. We shall allow you to operate the way you want to operate, but you have also the ethical codes that you operate under.
Very good.
Please observe them, and this government will have...
In 30 seconds, what is your plan for Kenya Broadcasting Corporation? You've been talking about this in 30 seconds.
Kenya Broadcasting Corporation should be supported to communicate the government agenda. And the government will support Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. We are determined to support you. I think you know what ails Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. We have discussed. I have held a meeting with most of you. I have been in a session at the Kenya School of Government. We have a plan. The plan for you is to make sure that you operate professionally and even if you enter revenue streams, you must make sure that those revenue streams are sustainable. Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, in terms of communicating government agenda, that is the heartbeat of the Kenya government. And we are not going to leave you to start floating in the dark. We shall support you, unless you don't want to be supported. But if you really want to be supported, the government is willing to support you to correct the mistakes that were made in the past. We shall look at the strategic agenda you have, support you financially, morally. We shall do capacity building for Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. Of course, we are not going to protect Kenya Broadcasting Corporation in a way that you look like spoiled children. You must be ready also to compete with the rest of the media houses. Because the difference between Kenya Broadcasting Corporation and other media houses is the fact that you are doing public interest journalism as well as the commercial interest journalism. The other media houses are doing commercial interest journalism. So because you lose revenue when you are doing sometimes public interest journalism, a way must be found to support you to recover the lost revenues. And that is the determination of this government, to make sure that you operate. You soar high the way you used to soar in the 70s and 80s. That is where our heart lies.
We are with you.
Yes.
We'll support you.
Yes.
And of course, we'll offer you all the support that is needed to realize this dream.
Yes.
There is nothing else like Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. You and I, we agree this. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Make sure you have quality, you provide quality signals, make sure you provide quality discourses on television. You must part ways with the naivety and compete with the rest of the media houses. When you do that, government government will support you, the public will support you.
And the fact that we are doing it here from the beach,
yes,
that tells you that Kenya Broadcasting Corporation knows no limits.
You have an ocean of space across here, and you can still float, you can fly.
You can say that again.
You can swim on this ocean.
You can say
have
that again.
The space, and the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation will soar again, and we support you.
Thank you so very much indeed, Bwana PS, for joining us here on the show.
Yes.
And of course, for outlining your mission for the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation for this great organization.
Thank you very much.
Your time is highly appreciated.
Yes.
Well, we've been talking to the PS in charge of broadcasting and telecommunication. This is none other than Professor Edward Waswa Kisiang'ani, outlining various measures that the government is putting in place to drive the growth of ICT as well as the reforms at Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. My name is O'Brien Kimani. Back to you in Broadcasting House, Tom Boya.
Thanks indeed, O'Brien. And of course, the Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi also urging the National Assembly to fast-track the review of the Finance Act 2021 to unlock the investment potential in the